everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I'm Jasmine Pollock, and today we have a good show for you guys. We're going to get into the recap of the women's college national championship game between LSU and Iowa, and then we're going to get into some NFL talk, so we'll be right back. Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And to kick the day off, we're going to talk about that Iowa versus LSU championship game. So let's bring in Jeremiah. Let's have a little conversation. So yesterday, it was a highly anticipated game between LSU and Iowa, two huge teams in the women's college basketball bracket. The two teams left. No one expected them to be there, but they ended up making it. So Jeremiah, just to start, what was your reaction to the game between LSU and Iowa?
Well, for me, it was mostly a tales of just like two different teams at the end of the day. When it came to Iowa coming in, I mean, you already know about Caitlin Clark, like what she was doing this whole tournament, having just a historic one. And then on the other side, you just got LSU. They've been dominating just from the top of the tournament as everything started. And, just when it came to this game, they was shooting lights out, having a career day. And just like I said, this year is like the year of the underdogs. And many people, they didn't really expect LSU to really get as far as well as Iowa. You would just see South Carolina or anybody else being up there. But having those two teams and plus having their pivotal person that's coming off of the bench scoring 21 points in that first half, that is incredible.
Yeah, her name was Jasmine, by the way.
Yes, that was incredible, by the way. And one thing that Iowa could do, they couldn't do anything to stop that. They were shooting from all cylinders, and they were just on it all game. Even though they was triple teaming Caitlin, they were still shutting her down. Although you can get your 30 points, but nobody else is gonna do anything else because we got other people that's gonna do everything else on our team. And that was the whole difference just as a team. As we pointed out before, as we always said, if Iowa wants to win a championship, it has to be somebody else other than Caitlin. And that didn't really, come in at the end of the day. But shout out to both of these teams. They did incredible.
And to piggyback off what you said based off how LSU came into this game, think about it. I was watching the press conference earlier with Coach Kim, which is LSU's head coach, and she was just talking about how, we knew that Caitlin was going to score. We knew that we can't stop her from shooting because she's that phenomenal of a talent. But the thing is we're not going to get her we're going to clog the middle. We're going to make Caitlin, you can shoot. We'll give you but we're going to make the shots a lot harder than what you're usually used to seeing. And they closed the lane. So you didn't see Caitlin getting those layups that to get her. She'll get the layups and the threes. They pretty much put her in a position where they made her shots very tough, even though she got 30 points in the game, but it was still tough for her. And my biggest thing was for Iowa. I was one of those people that said, Caitlin is a beast, and she is. But it was the point of, can Iowa get to that next level? Can they win it all with just her? And I was one of those people that said, I do not think they can. And obviously, it showed yesterday. Just to give you guys a little stat about LSU is the first women's basketball team to score that many points in a national championship. Mind you, they had 102 versus Iowa's 85. Heck of a game, but you could tell that LSU was completely ran away with this one towards the end. There was a point in time in the third quarter that Iowa tried to rally and make a comeback, but LSU had too much in the tank. They were too deep of a team. Of course, Angel Reese is their star player, but overall, there were so many players on this LSU team from the bench to the starters that contribute in a high way. They had some defensive wins. They had, of course, the offense was clicking, they were shooting at a high level that they haven't shot all season. And of course, it's showing up at a big time like that. And even Coach Kim, she was saying, like, you could see on the sideline during the game, every time LSU was making shots like back to back, she was like, what is happening to my team? Like, she was shocked herself. Like, my girls came to play. But for Iowa moving forward, I don't know if Caitlin's coming back or if she's going to declare for the draft. I don't know if she's looking at that, but they need another star player. They need somebody else besides Caitlin. You know, she carried them this far, of course, to the championship. But in order to win a championship, you have to have a unit around you. Like when you look at LSU, Angel Reese is she's their star player. But
Mhm.
around her, she had dogs that could compete. She had girls that could go shoot threes, can go play defense while she's the double-double queen. She did what she needed to do. But it was a whole unit from LSU that set them apart from Iowa. And then let's get into the whole controversy of the can't see me, give me my ring type thing. So a lot of people are, upset with Angel Reese today that she was doing that at Caitlin Clark. Now, let's rewind that back. Caitlin Clark did the same thing to South Carolina. She was doing this to them. She was showboating. She was, taunting them. No problem. But when Angel Reese did it on the biggest stage, oh my goodness, it's a problem. So Jeremiah, what was your reaction to Angel Reese, and did you have a problem with what she did?
No, I mean I have no problem with it because that's just all about the competitiveness in sports. I mean, you're gonna have your trash talkers no matter where it's going to be. Now they can trash talk to the end of the day. I mean, they won at the end of the day. It's nothing you can say. You have to beat them. That's just like being on the playground, being in a pickup game, and then the person is just talking to you any type of. I mean, they're winning. Their team is up and everything else. You can fight them, but still at the same time they are winning. You have to beat them on the court. And I
Yes.
just feel like when it comes to Caitlin Clark, I just feel like she doesn't need people to be coming in defense for her. I mean, if she doesn't have a problem with it, then why should we have a problem with it?
Right.
It's just all about the
She
nature of
said,
basketball.
right.
And you
And
have Reese just doing the design and doing the gestures and everything else. I mean, it's a back and forth when it comes to these ladies, and I just feel like, especially as a black woman, I don't think that should be getting that this much hate as it's going right now because
no,
Caitlyn did it. It was praised, especially when she was doing it against Louisville and everything else when she first started. Now it probably wasn't towards the team; it was probably on the team, but the cameras caught that, and it's certain things. Or just saying, I'm gonna leave you out there for three. It's a part of basketball. You win some, you lose some. But then that's
part
why
of
you just keep
sports.
competing. And I just
It's
feel
a
like that's
part of
very
sports in
important.
general. Like I'm an athlete. You're a former athlete. I'm a former athlete. I've talked trash before, and I was very respectful. I'm not getting personal, but if your team is on the winning side, you
Yeah.
showboat, and then if somebody was doing particular things and they were taunting before, and you end up winning, you get the bragging rights. It
Yeah.
all depends on your mood and at that moment. But I just feel like it's part of the game. It's a
Yeah.
part of the game. This is what sports is about. You're going to have players that talk trash to each other, regardless of their skin tone, regardless of who they are. They're going to talk. It's just what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
of course, it's magnified because look at it. Women's sports is still very new. People are still trying to get a hold of it and respect the women, and they're trying to gain their respect. And not to mention, she is a black woman that's doing that looks a particular way. And she said straight up in the press conference after the game, she said, "I'm gonna be unapologetically me. I'm gonna be me. This is for the girls that look like
Yeah.
me."
Yeah.
And I have no issue with that.
And you want to know
No.
what's so incredible about it? Even this tournament that these women are having is overshadowing the men's tournament. I'm going to be totally real about it. It's overshadowing the men tournament when it comes to just the competitors going back and forth. Reese, and then you also got Caitlin, and because we already know about their games and what they're doing, but it's just about the competitiveness. Now the
Exactly.
boys, they're going to be talking their everything else, but it's not how the women are doing it right now to where it's like we want this respect. We're doing historic stuff on this side. Now you have the underdogs on the other side with the men's, but these women right here, they're just saying, we're gonna keep coming at it, and this is for years to come. And it's just like people just say, it's a change right now, especially in women's basketball, just with this
And
new thing that's coming.
And just to piggyback, I'll give you guys some backstory. This is the highest rated women's tournament of all time. Like the ratings are like it's record breaking. Like a lot of people are tuning in. And shout out to the girls like Caitlin and Reese and Boston from South Carolina. There's so many great basketball players. Yeah, I agree with you, Jamie. There's so many great players in this league that I saw. And honestly, it feels as if the women have taken the spotlight from the men's tournament, because now it's like, yeah, of course we're paying attention to what the men have going on and definitely like that. We're definitely going to cover that and pay attention. But it just seemed like you heard the players, you heard Angel Reese, you heard Caitlin Clark, you heard Boston, you heard the coaches. There was a lot of stuff going on. Whereas the men, there's still some players were like, oh, yeah, I've heard of this guy, and that kind of thing. And it's like, it seems like the women were pushed a lot more, which is, of course, it's huge. We want that equal.
And everybody's more invested. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then to go back to between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese is a transfer, by the way. She played at Maryland, and she played against Caitlin, and she's 3-0 against Caitlin. So there's some backstory behind what's going on, also on top of the taunting and different things like that. But Caitlin Clark, she has a losing record against Reese. It's 4-0 now. And then, of course, on the biggest stage, Reese gets the better of her and wins the championship. So for me, it's part of the game. It's just what it is. When you're an athlete, you trash talk. It depends. Some athletes don't, some athletes do. Now there's a way to handle it. There's a way to trash talk. You don't need to be disrespectful, but I mean, hey, our team won. Look at y'all, that kind of thing. But for that, these are two great female athletes that are putting the game on their back. They have brought a new light to the game, and we're going to definitely keep watching it. And they brought, much needed exposure that women's sports needs. So now people are expecting this. Now, like, man, the ladies could ball like this, and we've been to they could ball.
And people got to understand, when it comes to Reese and Caitlin Clark going back and forth, they have mutual respect for each other. It's not like the reason that the LSU is bringing up, because of course it's competitive, but they have the respect for her. I mean, if Caitlin's in their head, or if they're talking, like, there's respect there because they know what she can bring, and also Caitlin knows what reason they can bring. And that's why people can't take, like, rivalry as a certain disrespect. It's always respect at the end of the day from these ladies. I mean, they're competitive. They're working hard to get to where they're trying to go to, and that's the championship. And you're gonna have things like this.
Yes, and even for Caitlin, this doesn't diminish what she is. She's a phenomenal talent. And there's a lot of players that are not going to come by that are like her. There's a lot of star players in this women's tournament, and they are the reason why people were talking about them. The Caitlins, the Reeses, the Bostons. There's so many players that made a name for themselves. Even Jasmine coming off the bench for LSU and giving her all, and she's a senior. That was her last game at the biggest stage, so she wanted to come out with the bang.
Names in it.
Caitlin, still shout out to you. She is still one of the dominant players in this league, probably the dominant player because of what she did and how she carried Iowa. But the better team was LSU. That's just simple as that. Yeah, but shout out to LSU. Congratulations on your championship. There's going to be plenty more to come. And definitely Coach Kim, this is her second season, guys. Mind you, this is her second season as the LSU head coach, and she won them a ring. But she's already seasoned. She already has won a multitude of championships well before she got to LSU. She won at Baylor. She's a Hall of Fame. She's third, I think, all time in wins. So definitely having a coach like that for LSU and getting them to that point is very huge. And she won, and LSU, Louisiana's her home state. So it's very huge that she was able to win her second year in LSU. It was just a very emotional thing for her. But that wraps up this segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the NFL moves so far and what we can expect for this upcoming NFL season. So we'll be right back.
I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. If you'd like to be a guest on my show and see past episodes of my show, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And then my Twitter, if you want to get in contact with me, tweet me, and just see what I talk about, you can go to my Twitter at JazzyS. So let's get into the second segment, Jeremiah, the NFL. We're going to switch gears. We've been talking about basketball for quite a bit now because we're in basketball season and different
Yes,
things like
yes.
that.
Mhm,
But let's
mhm.
go to the NFL. We're in the off season. There's still moves that people are still waiting on. But let's just dive into what we know already. So I was having a conversation today in class with some of my classmates about Baker Mayfield and him being with the Bucs, and could this be his revival year or something like that. So Jeremiah, we look at this Bucs team and we know Tom Brady's retired. You know, Byron Leftwich, who was their offensive coordinator, he's fired, he's gone. What is your take on this Bucs team, being that they go get a Baker Mayfield, even though they have Kyle Trask, who they drafted from my Gators, you know? What is your take on this Bucs team, and how is this Bucs team going to look heading into this season?
I can tell you not the same.
I
It's
agree.
going to be totally different and marketed very differently than having Brady as they used to have, because you already know when they had Brady, even on Brady's terrible years, people would still say, I would never bet against Brady. But that's just how good. And going from him to a Baker Mayfield, who has been hopping from team to team, but plus, not progressing. When it came to him with the Rams, okay, he had a small sparks, but it's not enough to call him QB1 at the end of the day. And
Agreed.
that's my biggest problem when it comes to Baker Mayfield. Now, people have been like, oh, he just need to be a better environment, but he had plenty of opportunities for that. He had a person like Odell. He had a person like Javaris Landry, had Chubbs with him. A lot of
The
different
number
things
one
were
rushing
placed.
team at that time.
Exactly. And a lot of things were placed in front of him for him to go to the next level,
Yeah.
and still wasn't able to do that. He got put with his Rams teams. Of course, they wasn't going to go to the playoffs or anything because they was having that a terrible year.
Yes.
But still, at the same time, he had that one or two good games in a row. But then he hit the fall off, and that's the problem when it comes to him being on these teams.
Yeah.
It's like you'll get certain sparks, but then at the same time, it's not enough for you to be winning games to take you to the next level that you need to be at. And I just feel like for the Bucs, I understand that they gave him a 1-year contract because they need a quarterback right now. But one thing is really confusing me: why you're not making a certain push to get a person like maybe a Lamar Jackson or
They
even
don't have any money.
and
They're
that was
they
going
don't
to
have a lot of
be
money.
coming to my next point, because that's what happens when you try to go all in, especially for that championship team. You got the championship, but then at the same time, you couldn't keep everybody, and you
But
had to
think
pay
about this
everybody.
though. Wouldn't you want to go all in? You know, being
Yeah,
that if
I
you
mean, they got the
sign Tom Brady,
championship.
right? If you sign Tom Brady, of course they put all their money in this past 2 years, knowing that Brady is going to potentially retire. So if I'm the Bucs, you know, at the time, if I'm the Bucs, I'm going all in
Because they're trying to win right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't
But
thinking
now
about the
you're at
future.
the stage now
Mhm.
that you're going to have to rebuild again.
Yes.
And right now, this is why. Now everyone knows I'm from the Tampa Bay area. I was born and raised here. Bucks, Rays, Lightning, all that stuff, right? This is the reason why I've never become a Bucks fan. If you might think, why are you not a Bucks fan? You're from the area, you know. But this is my thing. I grew up, you know, even though the Bucks won in the early 2000s. After that, that's when I really started watching football, and I saw a bad Bucks team. I mean, where there was blackouts. I mean, they're not being aired on TV. Very, very little attendance from fans. So I was like, I don't really, you know, the Bucks don't see the Bucks seemed like a joke at the time when I was younger, growing
Yes.
up watching sports.
Yes.
And when Brady came over, you know, no, actually, let's go before that. Jameis Winston gets drafted. You know, he won the championship with Florida State. You know, all the Florida, you know, the Florida fans are really excited. You know, the Bucks fans are excited.
Yep.
But we've never really seen Jameis turn that corner in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it doesn't have to do a lot with Jameis. It has a lot to do with they had different offensive coordinators, a lot of different things. And then here comes Bruce Arians from Arizona, and he wants to change the whole dynamic of the team. And then, of course, Tom Brady wasn't happy in New England, and he's ready to move on. And then, boom, Brady and the Bucks happened. So it added a spark in the Tampa Bay area. I will say that it added a strong spark in the Tampa Bay area because they're like, man, like, you know, the Bucks now on the map. And then the Lightning just won a championship. They won the cup. They won the cup the back-to-back 2 years. And bringing Tom Brady there. The Tampa Bay teams were on fire when Brady came there, and it added a sense of, happiness. Of course, people were excited in the area, but now it's back to, all right, now it's the Bucs again. Now we're back to where they were before, and it's like, I don't think Baker's enough to help them get over that hump. I don't think he is. I've seen enough of Baker Mayfield, and I'm sure he'll have some games like, oh wow, because no one's going to be really paying attention to the Bucs like that, like how they were before. That's just what it is. That's not me being a hater or anything. That's just what it is. But I was really hoping they took a chance on Trask. I don't know if his development is still, not there yet. But when I look at this Bucs team, it's just a rebuilding stage now. It's now like, okay, what are we going to see? What's Todd Bowles going to do? How's this team going to look post Brady? And then you got a lot of people, they're going to bring back people, but it's not going to be the same. Scotty Miller's gone. A lot of people are gone.
Yeah.
And, you never know how this is going to look. So we'll definitely see what the Bucs are going to do. But let's look at another team. I know I talked about the Ravens. I'm not going to keep talking about the Ravens because the Ravens are going to do what Ravens are going to do. But I also talked with my classmates about Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota guy. And one of my classmates says, Kirk Cousins isn't overrated. And I said, what has Kirk Cousins done that says, man, he's a great quarterback? He's decent. He's average. But what has Kirk Cousins done? And I'm asking you, Jeremiah, that he is an elite quarterback.
Kirk Cousins hasn't done enough. And to call himself elite quarterback, he can't be in the same sentence when it comes to that. Because just like you saying, average quarterbacks that you're going to have during your times, they're just going to stay the same.
Yeah.
No progression or anything. And that's what you see. And his start within Washington, just like the same thing with Baker Mayfield, he have like certain good sparks. He'll be passing the ball, getting it right then and there. But then when it's time to close games out,
they choke.
It's a drop off and he chokes. You've seen it just this last year going against where they played the Giants, and then he came up short again. This is a team that was battling for the number one place throughout this whole last season of the NFL.
Yes.
Having different weapons on the team, and not to mention the certain losses that they had gotten. You've seen the bad parts of Kurtz. When it came to the loss that they had against the Packers, they got just annihilated through that whole game.
I was shocked because everyone knows, like, I'm gonna keep saying I'm a Packers fan, so I can't stand the Vikings. But my thing was, when I look, I'm gonna be realistic here. When you look at the Vikings offense, they have an offense to win. You have Dalvin Cook in the backfield. You had Adam Thielen. Of course, you have that dude, Justin Jefferson, on the other side. They have people that they can do stuff with.
The
quarterback position is questionable. Kirk Cousins has a game or a couple of games like, dang, Kirk is what he could be. And then he has games where he's just not on.
That's why I don't agree with the chain thing, because he hasn't earned that right. Okay, you're having good stretch games against teams that you're supposed to be beating. Yes. But when it's against like great rivalries or the big contenders, he chokes up during those times. Look at the interceptions.
Even in the playoffs, in the divisional round, when the Giants go to Minnesota and play you.
Yeah.
That you have to win that game.
You have to win that game.
You are the better quarterback. You're better than Daniel Jones in that moment. You have the better team that we thought.
Way better team, yes.
But if you look at it, the Vikings defense was not good last year. They were not good at all last year. And they have phenomenal players on the team, and they let some people go this year. And now they have what's his name as defensive coordinator? Dolphins old coach.
Oh, Brian Flores.
Yes. He is now their defensive coordinator, which I think he's going to change the whole philosophy of that team. So it's a team to watch, but we all know it's the quarterback position. If you look at the league right now, we see a lot of star quarterbacks that are doing a lot of phenomenal things. It's all about your quarterback play. You can have a very good defense. You could have the best record, but if your quarterback does not show up in that moment,
you're not going far.
You're not going
You're not
far.
going.
That's
Yes.
why when you see the Chiefs, and I want you to listen, I want everyone to listen. The Chiefs for the past few years have never had the best team, but you know what they had?
The best quarterback.
And the best coach.
Yep. Tag team. Look at
Literally,
Philadelphia.
If you look at it, let's talk about the Chiefs for a bit. Look at Patrick Mahomes. He went to 5 straight championship games. 5 straight championship and AFC championship games.
Yes.
His first Super Bowl, he plays against the 49ers. Tenacious defense, number 1 defense. I think they were the underdogs in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they were.
But guess what they had? They had the better quarterback. They go in the second season, or the second Super Bowl. They play the Bucs. He played a better quarterback, which was Tom Brady at the time.
But he was still playing lights out, of course.
He made some plays. You're like, dang, Mahomes is making some plays, even with a depleted O-line. Then the third Super Bowl that just happened between them and the Eagles. Jalen played phenomenal. Now, there's some questionable calls we could talk about. But I think at that moment, the defense got outplayed. They really did.
Yes, they did. They did.
Jalen Hurts, you couldn't ask Jalen to play any better than what he did. He played a phenomenal game. The offense was clicking, but the defense could not stop anybody. They just could not stop anybody. The Chiefs for years, even with Mahomes, the Chiefs for years have had a semi-decent defense. They never had that lethal defense. Right. Their defense was their offense, and it still is until somebody's able to stop them. Mahomes has 2 rings now. But when we look at it, that's why I go back with Kirk Cousins. It's all about quarterback play. You have the Vikings have a team to compete. They have a team that can go out there and compete with other teams. It's that quarterback position. Look at Dallas. They have a team. They have a defense now. They have receivers. Quarterback play. Look at everything that's going on. It's about quarterback play. Look at the Jets. Jets had a heck of a season. But what was the thing? Quarterback play. The Bills, they were the number 1 predicted team to go to the championship and win. And then this year, they're second now, which makes no sense. But we'll talk about that another time.
We're going to talk about that. Yes.
But Josh Allen is good, but he has been outplayed by better quarterbacks.
Yes.
That's just what it is. It's about quarterback play. It's
i.e. Joe Burrow and, of course, Pat Mahomes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's why when we look at it, it's all about quarterback play when it comes to this league. But, Jeremiah, before we get out of here, when will this deal get done between the Jets and the Packers?
I'm predicting that the deal is going to be done probably right after the draft. Only because the only reason I say that is because I feel like for the Jets, they are putting certain things into place just in case if they need to make certain moves to make it for Green Bay to kind of get some leverage when it comes to the draft picks of certain times or anything like that. So they can both be on the same page because it's all about front office right now. Just trying to please one another because you already know Green Bay wants to have a good assets to come back from everything else. But then the Jets are just like, listen, like you guys need him off your hands more than we really need him at the end of the day. So it's kind of like
my thing is the Packers are the ones dictating the situation. It's not even the Jets. The Jets are lining stuff up because they are ready. They're saying we're ready for him. It's about the Packers and the bad blood that has been built between Aaron and the front office.
Yeah.
I'm a Packers fan. I'm a Packers fan forever. But I can see what's going on in our front office. I have not been happy. As we know, I've been very vocal about you know some of the moves that we've made and some of the decisions. I'm not happy about it.
Right.
But I know for me as a true Packers fan, I think it's time for Aaron to go. That does not mean I despise Aaron. That does not mean I'm tired of Aaron. Not at all. Now, there's certain things I don't agree with that has been done, but that doesn't diminish what he meant to the franchise and what he meant to us for over a decade now. It's where my Packers are headed is we are heading in a direction of rebuilding and trying to get our young pieces together. I can respect that. But where Aaron Rodgers is headed is not the same direction because Aaron is getting up of age. He is the last quarterback standing veteran besides Tom Brady because Tom Brady's not retired now. It's Aaron. Aaron's the person that everyone's looking at when his
He
time
wants
is
to win
ticking.
now.
He needs to win now. He has
Yep.
a few years left, and with the Packers, that's just not it.
Yeah.
And right now, the Jets are screaming, yes, yes, yes,
We
we
need
want
him.
you.
Get him over
Because
here. Yeah.
look, the Jets have a top 5 defense, young
Yes.
receivers. They signed Alan Lazard, who was our receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Then you get Nico Harbin from the Chiefs, which is going to be huge. You got Breece Hall, who's the running back for the Jets, and you have a lot of guys that are very good. You have a lot of receivers.
Great O-line. Like
Garrett Wilson from Ohio State is over there. They are screaming for Aaron to come over there, but it's all about the Packers and what they're going to do. And it is frustrating me because I'm ready for this. Is Aaron going to retire? Because obviously Aaron doesn't want to come back. He's already made that clear. He spoke about that he's not coming back. So I've already accepted what's happening.
Right.
It's the point of, okay, now it's time to turn that corner and, turn over a new leaf. Are we going with Jordan Love? I want to see now that Aaron is, out the door, it's time for Jordan Love to, come in the picture.
Exactly.
So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun one because, of course, like we always said, we can't wait for these divisional games to happen because it's going to be a fun one, especially in that AFC East. And I hope that I'm wrong and this deal gets done even earlier than I said that it was going to be done after the draft.
It should be. I agree.
Yes.
I would like it to happen before the draft so that way Aaron can go in there and talk to everybody and see, okay, what are we looking for? I think it would be better if they make this deal happen before the draft. And the draft is actually a few weeks away. So it's, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of trades I think is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of stuff going to be happening. But that wraps up First Impression Sports Talk. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Orange. Shout out to Remy. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to everyone who's been very supportive. Shout out to, the fans and everything like that. So next week, you guys catch me back here on Monday at 3:30. We're going to talk more basketball because the NBA playoffs is getting closer. The college football is going to start ramping up again. We're going to be paying attention to that. And hockey postseason is happening. So I'm really excited. So we'll see you guys next Monday for more First Impression Sports Talk.